This is, okay, as part of my CompTIA Security Plus training, I think last time I was here, there was somebody else with that Security Plus. Are they here? Good, so nobody will argue with me. So, they had several ways of securing your home Wi-Fi. And I've said this before, after I took this class, I got so paranoid.
Good.
Oh, yeah, this is a healthy paranoid, not the normal paranoid I have, you know? So, I started off thinking my agenda for tonight was to go over 3 points, 3 things you could do right now for when you get home, over this weekend, perfect time to do it, to really harden your Wi-Fi. And then I thought of a 4th, and a 5th, and a 6th. So somebody tell me when 30 minutes are up, and then I'll stop giving you the list. But I'm going to start off with real simple stuff. Oh, when I studied this part, I'm thinking hams would be really interested in this topic. Hams, because it has to do with radio signals. All right, story. You know, the Google truck goes around photographing all the streets, so when you go to Google World or whatever, you'll be able to see, you type in an address and you'll see a home in there. They got into a load of trouble. Not because they were taking pictures, they were also documenting where the Wi-Fi was and where the open Wi-Fi was. It wasn't just photos. They were seeing, you know, if people could have access, and they were going to have a directory so that you could get this directory and see who had free Wi-Fi for the taking. They got into a lot of trouble for that. They go, oh yeah, it was a clerical error. They really said it. It's a clerical error. We really didn't intend to do that. So, all right. When you go and you open up your laptop and you're at a hotel or something and you go look at your Wi-Fi options, what the stations you can connect to, that's called an SSID, the name that you see. Well, the SSID is like a beacon. It's not part of your regular Wi-Fi communications. It's just a beacon goes, this is who I am, hello, this is who I am, hello. First thing you should do is turn that off. If they can't see your Wi-Fi there, they're less likely to get in unless they know the exact letters for your Wi-Fi, for your home Wi-Fi. So, and you can do that by getting into the box and saying, turn SSID off. That'll make it, so that's almost like having a double password on it, because they'll have to guess. And since they won't have any clue at all, you're a lot more secure that way. So first thing you should do, turn off your SSID. Second thing, has anybody tested how far away they can get from their home before they lose Wi-Fi connectivity to their house? Is it pretty far?
150 yards. Significant.
Yes, and you could do a pretty good. I tried that with a mobile phone. You know, a mobile phone where I walked and I kept going and going. It was like a block away, and I could still talk to my home base station. You have control over the power. If you're going too far, if you know it's beyond your backyard, you really don't need to go much far beyond that. You can control the power. So there's many times there's a power setting. And it's probably also in the command menu for whatever your Wi-Fi thing is. And you tell it to go lower power. That way it's harder for them to find your signal. You're not broadcasting into the neighbor's house or the neighbor's house. That's the number 2 thing. Turn down your Wi-Fi power. Now here's the part that I thought of with hams. Normally, you've got that little dipole or vertical for your Wi-Fi. Well, actually, there are options for your antenna. You can make it directional. So figure out, like, my Wi-Fi is in the corner of my house. I don't need to Wi-Fi the intersection on Cleveland Street. By the way, take that out of the room. And the key is under the mat. And to the Wi-Fi signal, you don't want to, put it, so you can actually add a directional antenna so that it's more focused where you are going to be, thus reducing the chances that somebody who unintended will be able to piggyback onto your Wi-Fi signal. That's 3. And now I'll give you 4, 5, and 6. 4, all right. When you log in, you give a password. And I'm not good at acronyms. I've forgotten what WEP, it's usually, I think, a web key. Well, that's a type of encryption. And that's pretty good. But it's actually still quite breakable, especially if the people know what they're doing. If they have a listening station, and all the pros do, they just listen for a couple of packets to go back and forth, and they can figure out and break it. There's another level of encryption you can turn on your Wi-Fi to become even more secure. I've forgotten, but check into it. You can actually increase the encryption on your Wi-Fi. Let's see, something else. Ooh, the one that got me. Years ago, told this story before, but it's a good one. It's so true for so many things. Working at a job, DBA, I'm in charge of security. You know, I inherited the job, so you grow into the job. So inherited security, I go on vacation, they hire a helper for me. I get back, he's hacked into all the databases.
Ooh.
Yeah, and the good guy, but he did it for, he had to get in and I had the passwords, but it didn't matter because he was able to get in. A lot of software, when you get it, that requires a password, like I do Oracle, it has a whole set of default password. And the whole first part of hardening it is locking down those things and changing the password. And it's the same password for all the different accounts. So if somebody who doesn't know what they're doing, doesn't know about security, let's say for Oracle, can just go in there and just take a little bit, boom, 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 they're in. Literally, it's that fast. Unfortunately, the same is true for a lot of devices that have like microcontrollers in them. When they think about, when the industry thinks about getting hacked and passwords, they're thinking about microcomputers, home centers. They're not thinking of control systems. There's a great story. These people wanted to show just how vulnerable the infrastructure was. So what they did, the meters on our houses that say the electricity, well, they send signals back and forth all the time to each other, and it's collected at the station. That's how they know how much power you're using. For those systems, and this is less than 10 years ago, hopefully they've improved it. When you knew the manufacturer and the model, you knew the password. So what these people did was, for a very small scale, but I mean, it was the possibilities were frightening. They hacked into the system and they said, okay, when you talk to this other computer, other system, metering system, they pass the messages along to each other. They're in radio contact. Also, carry this virus with you. And by the way, once you've installed the virus and passed it along, you cannot be changed by Wi-Fi anymore. That's how the electrical companies controlled it. They just sent a signal out, and all the little drone meters were going, okay, pass it along. This is our new upgrade, upgrade, upgrade. And so these bad guys, pretending to be bad guys, did it on a really small scale, did it for a whole neighborhood. They just, all of a sudden, all the meters became the bad guys' meters, and there was almost nothing they could do, the electric company, to change that, unless they went from meter to meter and physically rebooted it. So, what this horror story is about, default passwords are dangerous. I don't know if you get, like, my router, Wi-Fi router, is from FiOS. I'm going to investigate the password in there. Is it completely computer generated? Can we change it? Do I have the power to make it something my own? And like all good guys who are on computers, you change your passwords every 90 days, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Yes, of course we do. Because we know this stuff. So yes, that would be another thing to do. Change the default password on your router. You have no clue if anybody else has that same password. And odds are you've had for as long as you've had your router, you've had the same password. And you've just been sending out your SSID, and people in trucks with the sign Google on it have been recording who you are, where you live, and the content. If you're part of what they did also was to record what kind of content were these people sending back and forth. I'm very pleased because when I look at all the SSIDs in my neighborhood, all of them are secure. I mean, all of them require a password. That's great. It's the ones that don't require a password that are really, that's how viruses can get in and take over your computer and all sorts of nasty things like that. So that's a lot of information so far. Any questions about what I've said so far?
Any idea about how to get into your Wi-Fi to turn off your SSID? Is there, if it's Verizon, is there sort of a standard way to get there?
I don't know how, I know how to do it for a non-Verizon one. We bought our own in the olden days.
And all of them have have an address.
Yeah.
Yes.
They don't have
An IP address.
that will bring you right into their menus. So if you use a browser, put in the IP address of your router, it'll come up. Of course, the thing is, if you don't, John's point, password. If you made your own password, then you need to know what your password is to make any changes to it. However, if you haven't implemented your own password, then
Should.
If you don't know what it is,
should.
a lot of times just go to Google, type in your model number and search, and it'll give you the default password. Because they're usually in the books.
Well, that's good news.
For the video, just go to Google, type in your model number, and there's your default password for your router. Okay.
It usually shows up on the first page.
And some of those are not as,
And it gets a high ranking.
some of those are not quite as bad because they will let
Yeah.
you, the default password only work on the internal wired
Yes,
address
by default.
by default, which is
Oh, that's good.
a little bit better.
I know that some of the more recent Sun computers, which have a ability to configure and power up and down from a remote connection, have the first time you go into them a default password of change me,
Yes.
Yes.
and they want you to change it.
Yes, unfortunately, you can tell people over and over again, and it's too easy for them to not do it, to ignore it. I work with a lot of government installations. It's amazing. You go in there and you have this list of things to do and you really check them off. It's amazing. They've been running for years, and it's amazing what you have to do to get them hardened.
SOPM.
So,
OPM, you know, personnel management.
yeah. And LinkedIn got hacked.
Yeah.
Yeah, they originally said it was like a dozen million or so, and now it's 120 million people.
If they would only change their password from password to password with a capital P, and next one password with a small p.
Or yes, just to review, does anybody remember from the last time?
15 characters.
15 characters, upper and lower case, and special characters.
Special care.
Oh, yes.
Yes. I was logging on to my bank, and they didn't allow special characters, which I thought was unusual. But just so it's, not everybody allows special characters, but they tell you when they don't allow special characters.
And also, older Unix systems, maximum effective length of a password is 8 characters.
Yeah, that's, they should upgrade.
You can make longer ones, but it ignores the rest.
Okay.
Switching off network name broadcasting is a good safety measure, but it's not foolproof. It's possible to connect the network
Oh,
and
absolutely.
detect it without even knowing the name. So it's kind of, okay, for
Yeah.
script it works, but not for someone who has a little bit specialized tools. Second comment I have is avoid web. This is crap.
Is that a technical term?
Crap.
I'm sure it's an acronym.
It comes from the Latin crapola.
Ah!
It is possible to break in 5 minutes literally.
Oh,
even less.
yeah.
So don't go below anything what is WPA.
You know,
That's the one. Thank you for
Yes.
reminding me.
WPA, WPA2, at least WPA. This is the absolute minimum. And third comment, okay, no matter how encrypted and secure your wireless network is, consider it as unsecure and use encryption everywhere.
you know, there's a whole nother problem with passwords. I run a very small company, but after a number of years and having a number of employees, I've decided to offload the accounting to a professional company. And I had to go there right before tax time. And I kid you not, I was sitting there and the guy says, well, let me get into your account. He opened up, you know, the drawers that they have for type. He opened up his thing and there were all of his customers by name with the password right there. Needless to say, we severed our relationship at that
Yeah,
point.
we really, absolutely. I mean, it was good he had it off the computer, but, you know, putting it on his desk or maybe on a Post-it note, not good, not good.
Well, there needs to be a way, and there are various ways of doing that. When you have, there's only so much your human brain can have. You can have a whole bunch of different passwords, and if you're rotating them every 90 days, they have to be 12 characters long with special characters and that. I defy anyone in here to be able to keep that without having that recorded somewhere outside of this.
Yes,
There are
and there's some apps that
Yes, I use one.
there's some apps that allow you to change all of these things.
Yep.
But then you have to have a master password to get into there. So somebody just needs to break that master password and they have everything that you've put in
But
there.
you make it big enough, strong enough, and then the likelihood of that is
But then,
much less.
as he said, if you
Not
make
gonna
it
remember
15 characters, you say, now what
Well,
is it? Is
I
my
use
daughter
that.
first or my
Well,
wife?
I have that, and I have an insane password on there, but I only have to remember the one.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, but if somebody remembers that and gets into that app, they have
Okay, the way I
everything.
generated that password is it's a completely random 16.
Those are the
characters.
best passwords.
What is it?
It's completely random.
There are ways to generate.
I know there are.
I mean, one trick that I use for setting up the security words for Wi-Fi is to pick a sentence, type it in, and then feed that through MD5 and use that.
Oh, that's hash, right?
Yes.
Hashing, yes. Whole different subject, but yes, that's, now,
One quick question, John.
yes.
If you turn off your SSID, then how do you tell your computer to find your network if you bring a new device in? You have to turn your SSID back on and to link to it? Or?
Depends. If you've logged into it before, it remembers. If you haven't logged into it before, all you have to do is just type in the SSID. And then it'll go, oh yeah.
So instead of listening for the broadcast, it asks, is this one there?
Right.
And there's case sensitive too.
And big secret, FiOS is all uppercase. What can you do? What can you do?
You're talking about passwords. If I remember correctly, our cyber guy had a conversation too long ago. It's the number of spaces in your password is what forms the exponent to the number of potential characters.
Oh,
And
interesting.
so just adding special characters or numbers, that's nice, but you go from 26 to 36. You add 2 more characters and the exponent goes from 8 to 10. And that's a vastly more powerful thing. The beauty of having a really long password is it can be a phrase. And
That's right,
that's
yeah.
much easier to remember, so you're not trying to put together random characters that mean nothing, you know, white battery horsepower. I mean, you pick 3 words that somehow tie back to something, or just go with the phrase that you or your wife or someone you know likes, and use that, and the longer it is, the more powerful it is. There's only X number of characters you can play with, and that's not what forms the exponent to complicate the hacking.
One more thing I want to cover before I go. It's something you should have all the time, especially when you travel or any time you use Wi-Fi, even in your house. It's a virtual private network. Now, virtual private network is very nice because it adds an extra layer of encryption. Even if you're using web, what it's sending is encrypted one more time. So even if somebody is able to intercept, they won't be able to make heads or tails out of it. So how do you set up, or how do you do a virtual private network? I like the one where you can subscribe to a virtual private network. So what you do between your computer and the location that you're subscribed to, everything's completely encrypted. So it doesn't matter if people intercept or whatever, they are not going to make heads or tails out of it. Well, there's two kinds of VPN strategies that they use. One is public, another one is private. The public one is free. Everybody likes free. Well, there's a bit of a downside to that. You can use the free VPN software, but they record what you're interested in, and they use that for marketing, and they sell that information and what websites you go to. So I would suggest you do, there's probably a better word than private, but one you pay for. And that could vary from just $2 a month to $5 or $8 a month, and you can cover multiple computer systems. That is completely encrypted. They don't pay any attention to what you're sending back and forth. It is private and it's personal. So even if you go to Starbucks or someplace where they don't even ask for a password, you can go, fine, I'll use it. I'll turn on my VPN. Starbucks has no idea what you're sending back and forth. And under those circumstances, go ahead, do your bank balances, change your password. Nobody's going to know between you and the company that you've set up the VPN with.
There's also another one that does require you to have the ability to set up the two ends, but SSH, secure shell.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I use for most things.
Yeah, but you have to set it up with the other thing. But that's definitely an option. Yeah. One more thing, and I just found this interesting. I'm not sure if it's still true, but anybody here a Doctor Who fan? Yeah. Okay, we are proud. Okay. My name's John, and I'm a Doctor Who fan. Well, it's not on Netflix anymore. They took it off. The contract failed, and it's hardly on BBC. Yeah, I know I've seen the episode 10 times. I still like it. But you can still see it if you're in England, and you're on their system. And your IP address says, he's in England, we can show him. Well, I'm not in England. So there was these VPN systems, I got this off another site, where it says you are doesn't have to be correct. You can be anywhere in the world if you set it up with the VPN system, and your IP address will say you're in Alaska, or you can put yourself in another country, such as England. And many people do this, do their VPN so that it says they're in England, and then they watch Doctor Who on the British Netflix. They say they're going to clamp down on that. But what I wanted to point out is, you've got that security, but you can also hide where you're at.
ISIS uses that.
Yeah.
Okay, and learn from the best. No. So,
They have the VPN now for the iPhone also.
yes, I saw that option on there. So I've given you a lot of information. I'm sure I'm running out of time, but just for your home security, turn off your SSID. It's written on the box, probably. So you're the only one who needs to see it. Turn it off. Just make it a little harder. None of this is going to guarantee that you're going to be completely safe. All you can do is just make it harder for them. And unless they target you specifically, you'll be pretty safe.
And of course, I keep the the Wi-Fi router turned off, except the very few times I actually need it.
Wait a minute, this is one reason why nobody can email Don.
But, you know, if, for example, this thing to download books, there's no physical net connection to it. So I can't just plug it in and let it go out.
Right.
So I have to have Wi-Fi for that, and for a couple of other things, and the rest of the time, no Wi-Fi.
Okay, let me go through my list and we can.
Yeah, okay,
Yeah,
sorry.
no, I just want to make sure it's covered. Next thing, turn the power down. Unless you want to check your email at your neighbor's house on your Wi-Fi, you have that option of turning the power down. Depending upon where your antenna is, you can change the direction the signal goes by changing the antenna. They have all different kinds of antenna. I just like a Yagi antenna for 3 gigahertz. What is it, like this big? You know, it's 27 elements. You know, I mean, I don't know how much the dB gain is, but you can keep it more focused. Another great, what was your name, sir?
Pete?
Oh.
But, Yasik.
The other Pete, Yasik.
Yeah.
Hi. Yasik had a great thing. Improve your encryption. Web is full of bugs. Anybody who knows what they're doing, or half what they're doing, can break in and see all your correspondence, all your banking. So improve that. WPA at least, WP2 would be ideal.
Until they come out with the next one.
Yeah, until they have a supercomputer that'll fit in a laptop. Yeah, it's a race for time, race against time. Change the thing. Change all your default passwords. When you get something new, specifically if it's hardware, change the default password. Odds are you could look it up on Google. And the bad guys know that. All right, thank you very much. Appreciate it.